Hello, I'm Akerboom. I work with the city government of Rotterdam. I'm working on sustainability. So we have a sustainability program in which I'm program manager. Well, there are a few messages. One is that Rotterdam it's one of the largest energy ports in the world. So to survive as a city of Rotterdam, we have to be sustainable because petrochemical industries will fade away some 20, 30 years or whatever. So we need to transform our industries in a more sustainable way. But also because we have a lot of problems with air pollution, noise, etc. So that we try to tackle, and that's because we try to make Rotterdam a more livable city. If you come to Rotterdam, if you hear of Rotterdam, it's very much it has the image of a quite dirty city because of the industry. So what we try to do now is to transform this city into a more green, beautiful water city, which is very challenging. And I think we're succeeding in it. If you see what we made and what we did the last 30 years on noise, on sustainability, on air quality, it's quite something. And so we see now, at first our pollution was a drawback, it was a bad image, and now we see it as an opportunity to make our city a second life after the World War, in which our city was completely destroyed, and we build it up now. So we try to make it now more attractive because it was very open and wide, etc. So green areas are getting more important. We're getting our water areas are getting more important. Also make people more aware of where we are and what the city really is. I think hope is that you, as children, as people of the city, or of our country, of Europe or whatever, that you can take your own responsibility, that you can make your own future. I think that's really what I believe. So we can all think that the world is going down in some sense. I don't believe it, because also as children they can make their own schools more green or more attractive. They can also later on make their city more attractive, or country, or the sea, or the trees, etc. I think that's important for children. My favorite place, well, is the big city park. We have there's a kind of tower where you can climb on and you can view the city. But the city park, it's really laid down well. It's inside the city. It's very green, and if you are there, you forget the rest of the city. It's a kind of oasis in the city. I think that's I think the most attractive part of the city. Well, I've been there once to Moscow and to St. Petersburg, and I must say I like them very much. Although they're very different, I think Russia has a lot of faces, but I only have seen two of them. I think St. Petersburg is, in my opinion, looks a bit European, like Moscow is much different. I must say I like Moscow also very much. It's a beautiful city, also very crowded, of course, but it's a beautiful city. I think what Russia has it has, well, what you see as a tourist, of course, a lot of treasures. St. Petersburg with the Hermitage, of course, and, but also in Moscow you have a lot of treasures that you can be really proud of. They're beautiful. And what makes Russia important for the Netherlands is, of course, because we have a relationship, I think, of hundreds and hundreds of years. I don't know how many hundreds of years, because of trade, etc., but also because of culture. Peter the Great, of course, went to Holland. But I think with the world now, Russia and Netherlands really are becoming more close to each other. Distance doesn't count as much as it was 10, 20 years ago. Well, Rotterdam, we see ourselves as a port to Europe. We have a lot of international relationships with St. Petersburg, also with Shanghai, with cities in South America, etc. So what we see ourselves as a position in the EU, we can have we are a kind of window to the rest of the world because of our also our business relations. And other way around, what we can teach the EU, I think, is the coalition between the private and the public sectors. We work a lot with big companies like Shell and Unilever, etc., but also companies abroad. And what we need EU for is, for instance, if we want to really make our businesses more sustainable, things like the CO2 price, the ETS, the emission trade system, has to be more workable. So if there really becomes a higher price on the CO2 emissions, then companies have to become more creative. That's one important thing, but also on parts of mobility, etc. We're just a small city, so we can't manage it well. My background, I'm an economist, but so I see sustainability and the environment as the other part of the coin. Sustainability and economics are just about the same. Without sustainability, economics is not sustainable. And other way around, more sustainability can create a lot of economics, like we see in the Netherlands. So that's